Ever find yourself, putting up walls with people? That little nagging feeling of separation, maybe even mistrust?
Hmm. Yeah, that happens.
Well, what if that's not the whole picture? Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're exploring something pretty radical: trust, real trust, and the unity that might connect us all.
We're diving into A Course in Miracles lesson 181 today. It says, I trust my brothers who are one with me.
Okay.
And our goal here isn't just to parse the sentence. It's to really feel into what this means, how it could genuinely shift how we see everyone and ourselves, really.
Sounds good. And we're looking at the course's workbook plus some other writings on trust and unity from its perspective.
That's right, various sources to get a rounded view.
Okay, so I trust my brothers. Let's start there. In the course's language, who are my brothers? Is it just family, friends?
Good question. No, it's much broader. Basically, brothers means everyone. Every single person you encounter, think about.
Everyone.
Seriously, everyone. It's pointing to a shared spiritual identity that goes way beyond, roles or how well you know someone. It's fundamental.
Right, so this isn't just like be a nice, trusting person. It's tied to this idea of oneness. Why is that specific link so crucial in the course?
Well, because it goes right after the ego's favorite story, separation.
Ah, the ego.
Exactly. The ego tells us we're all separate islands,
Mhm.
competing, vulnerable. This lesson says, nope. Trusting your brothers, in this sense, isn't just good manners. It's actively recognizing that shared spiritual core.
So it forces you to look past the ego's fear?
Precisely. Past the judgments, the comparisons, the fear,
Mhm.
and see that underlying connection. It's saying we're all part of the same continent, not separate islands.
That definitely raises the stakes. It's not just self-help, it's challenging reality as we usually see it.
Yeah.
How does trust function as that acknowledgement of unity then?
It's less about manufacturing a feeling of trust and more about recognizing what's already true, seeing past the surface stuff, disagreements, annoying habits, even, real hurts, and acknowledging the shared spiritual reality underneath. It's like saying, deep down, your well-being and my well-being aren't separate. We're linked.
And this is a direct hit on the ego's need to divide and create suspicion.
Absolutely. The ego needs us to feel separate to survive. It feeds on doubt, highlights differences, paints others as threats. Lesson 181 is like saying, I'm choosing a different lens. By choosing trust, you actively weaken the ego's grip. You allow the reality of unity to actually, be felt.
Okay, let's make it practical. How do we even start doing this day to day? What does it look like?
Well, it often starts small, just noticing. Notice when that flicker of mistrust or judgment pops up about someone, a colleague, family member, whoever.
Hey, notice it, then what?
Then consciously try to reframe. Just try. Instead of jumping to, say, they're incompetent or they're trying to undermine me, maybe consider, maybe they misunderstood or maybe they're having a bad day.
Giving the benefit of the doubt, basically.
Exactly. But doing it consciously is a way of practicing this principle. And then just observe. See how that tiny internal shift changes the feel of the interaction, changes your feeling.
Right, that internal shift is key. Now, you mentioned mindfulness earlier. How does that fit in? How can mindfulness help us trust more?
Mindfulness creates space, that gap between something happening, like feeling mistrustful, and your automatic reaction.
Okay.
So when you feel that struggle to trust someone, mindfulness lets you just watch the feeling. Don't have to act on it immediately. You can just observe it, maybe breathe.
And then?
And then you can gently, consciously bring in the idea from the lesson. This person is one with me. Visualize that connection, however vaguely. It interrupts the ego's fear loop.
It allows a different response to emerge.
Exactly. A more loving, more trusting one, potentially.
Got it. There was also something called a trust declaration exercise mentioned in the materials. What's that about?
Yeah, that's a really practical tool. It's pretty direct. You actually list people you find it hard to trust.
Okay, writing them down.
Yep. And then for each person, you write a simple declaration. Something like, I trust name to act in their own best interest,
Okay.
which ultimately benefits us both. The point isn't necessarily to suddenly believe it fully, but to actively reframe the situation, to see their actions, even confusing ones, as part of a larger picture you're also in.
That feels proactive, like you're retraining your brain. Does the suggested meditation work similarly?
Yes, it complements it. The idea is to take maybe 10, 15 minutes, get quiet, and really focus on this idea of unity. And you repeat the phrase, I trust my brothers.
Just repeating it.
Well, not just mechanically. It's about letting the words sink in, letting the meaning resonate deeper than just your intellect, trying to cultivate a felt sense of that connection.
A felt sense. I like that. The materials also really stress that mistrust creates barriers. Why is that so central?
Because it literally does. When you approach someone with mistrust, you're putting up an invisible wall. And often, people sense that wall. They might react defensively or pull back, which then seems to confirm your mistrust. Right? It's a self-fulfilling cycle.
A vicious cycle.
Totally. It blocks connection, blocks understanding, blocks the love that the Course says is our natural state when we see our unity.
So choosing trust is actively taking down those walls, dissolving the illusions the ego builds.
Precisely. It's like saying, I'm willing to see past the illusion of separation. When you lead with trust, even a little bit, you create space for something different to happen. Compassion, understanding, seeing that shared essence.
It really leads to that reflection question, doesn't it? In what ways have I let mistrust build walls in my relationships?
Exactly.
And how can I consciously choose to see my brothers, everyone, as one with me? That demands some real honesty.
It really does. It asks you to look at your own patterns. But crucially, it also says you have a choice. You can choose to shift your perception, to actively look for the unity, even with difficult people.
And just to be clear again, brothers means everyone, recognizing that spiritual link. And unity is that inherent connection, being undivided.
Correct.
So embracing this trust, this unity, is the mechanism for shifting away from fear and towards love in how we see and interact.
That's the core idea. Fear and mistrust spring from feeling separate and threatened. Choose trust, recognize unity, and you naturally start operating from a place of love, acceptance, connection instead.
And this idea of brotherhood, it's not about surface stuff at all, is it? It's seeing deeper.
Right. Way beyond looks, personality, history, behavior, all that. It's about trying to see the shared spiritual light, the soul, if you like, that's inside everyone, underneath the ego patterns.
How does that apply, say, with someone who's genuinely hurt you? That feels like the hardest test.
It absolutely is the hardest test. It doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior, but it might mean trying to see the shared humanity underneath the behavior, seeing them as, well, as another part of the sonship, maybe lost or acting out of fear or pain, just like we all do sometimes.
Seeing the shared essence, even then.
Trying to. Seeing the soul beneath the ego's defenses. It's a practice, not a switch you flip, but it opens the door to a different kind of peace, one not dependent on their behavior changing.
Which ties into spiritual equality and shared purpose, right?
Yeah.
If we're all one spirit underneath, we're fundamentally equal.
Yes, that's a huge implication.
Yeah.
Despite all the surface differences, roles, beliefs, life paths at the Course says we're spiritually equal, all part of the same one self, the same spiritual family.
And maybe sharing the same ultimate purpose.
Which is essentially awakening to this unity, remembering who we really are together, that journey back to experiencing the love that unity implies.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the big takeaway from Lesson 181 seems to be that trusting others isn't just like a nice personality trait. It's a profound recognition of our fundamental oneness.
Exactly. And it's the key to unlocking ourselves from fear and stepping into more love, more connection.
It's a practice, though. You stress that. It's not always easy, especially when there's history, when there's hurt.
Definitely not easy. But the work is in that consistent effort, isn't it? Trying to see past the surface. Yeah. Trying to connect with that shared essence. Understanding that our peace comes from recognizing our unity. That's the transformation.
That lands powerfully. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think of one relationship right now where trust feels tricky, really hard. What might shift just in your perception if you genuinely tried to see that person as fundamentally one with you, not separate but connected? What might open up? Welcome to Daily Harmony.
Thank you for exploring this with us today. It's a deep one, this lesson on trust and unity. Hopefully it sparks some useful insights for you.